Let's be honest, cutting a man off isn't always easy. Even when you know he's not right for you, emotions, history, and attachment can make it difficult to walk away for good. But if a man is not serving your peace, respecting your boundaries, or contributing to your growth, then letting him linger in your life is only holding you back. You don't need to keep entertaining what isn't for you. You don't need to keep hoping that one day he'll change. If he hasn't given you what you deserve by now, chances are he never will. So if you're ready to finally cut him off and move forward with confidence, here are 7 things you must do. Cutting a man off successfully starts with making a firm decision and truly committing to it. Too often, people go back and forth saying they're done, but leaving the door slightly open. This only prolongs the pain and keeps you stuck in a cycle that doesn't serve you. When you decide to cut a man off, it must be a real decision, not an emotional reaction in the heat of the moment. You have to be clear in your mind that this is what's best for you and that there's no turning back. If you allow doubt to creep in, it will weaken your resolve and make you vulnerable to breaking your decision later. Once you make that choice, you must eliminate all the loopholes that could lead you back into old patterns. That means no checking in to see how he's doing, no one last conversation to get closure, and definitely no responding to his attempts to reconnect. The moment you leave space for negotiation, you're inviting confusion, emotional turmoil, and setbacks. Cutting him off is not just about not speaking to him, it's about mentally and emotionally detaching as well. That means you cannot hold on to fantasies about what could have been or waste time analyzing whether or not you made the right decision. When you keep questioning yourself, you're not fully committed, and that hesitation is what leads people to go back to unhealthy situations. Your commitment must also be backed by action. If you continue to follow him on social media, keep pictures of him on your phone, or still entertain conversations about him with mutual friends, then you are keeping his presence in your life. The more you allow reminders of him to linger, the harder it will be to truly move on. Commitment means removing everything that ties you to him so that you are not tempted to reopen the door. It means choosing yourself over any emotional attachment you may still have. When you truly commit, you won't need anyone to convince you to stay away because you'll know deep down that it's the best decision for you. Establishing firm boundaries is essential when cutting a man off successfully. If you don't define clear boundaries, you leave room for emotional manipulation, guilt tripping, and unnecessary confusion. Boundaries are not just about blocking someone's number or refusing to see them. They are about protecting your peace and ensuring that you are not drawn back into a situation that no longer serves you. Too often, people set weak boundaries and then struggle to enforce them. They say they won't respond, but still read the messages. They claim they're done, but still let curiosity lead them to check his social media. This inconsistency weakens your ability to move forward. One of the most important boundaries you must set is access. He should not have access to your time, your energy, or your emotions anymore. That means no casual conversations, no checking in moments, and no responding just because he reached out. If he had access to you before, that privilege is now revoked. The problem many people face is that they think response won't hurt, but that one response can reignite old feelings and put you back at square one. You have to be disciplined enough to cut off communication completely. Critical boundary is mental space. Even if you're not speaking to him, if he's still occupying your thoughts all day, you haven't truly cut him off. You have to redirect your focus to yourself and your healing. This means avoiding places, people, and even music that remind you of him. It means refusing to replay old conversations in your head or dwell on the past. Your mind must be as off limits to him as your phone number is. Emotional boundaries are just as important. You have to detach emotionally, which means not allowing his actions or words to trigger a reaction in you. If you hear that he's moved on, you don't entertain jealousy. If he tries to provoke a response, you don't engage. The moment you allow his behavior to dictate your emotions, you've given him power over you again. Setting and enforcing boundaries isn't just about cutting off contact, it's about reclaiming your energy, your peace, and your emotional freedom. Cutting a man off successfully requires a firm decision and unwavering commitment. Many people struggle with this because they let emotions override logic. They second guess their choice, hoping that maybe things will change or that he will suddenly become the man they wanted him to be. The reality is, if you have come to the point of needing to cut him off, there's a reason for it. Doubting yourself only prolongs your healing and makes it easier for him to slip back into your life. You must stand by your decision and remind yourself of why you made it in the first place. One of the biggest mistakes people make is leaving the door slightly open. They say they're done, but they keep a small window of hope alive. They don't block his number, they keep following him on social media, and they continue to check for updates on his life. This only fuels unnecessary emotions and makes it harder to move forward. If you want to cut him off, you have to be willing to shut the door completely. That means no contact, no watching his Instagram stories, and no asking mutual friends about him. You cannot heal from something while still holding on to pieces of it. Key factor is self-control. The urge to reach out to get closure or to express lingering feelings can be strong. But closure is not something he can give you, it's something you have to create for yourself. You don't need to hear his excuses or explanations. You don't need to give him another opportunity to manipulate your emotions. The moment you start making excuses to contact him, you are sabotaging your own healing process. Redirecting your energy is crucial. Instead of focusing on what was, start focusing on yourself. Invest in your own growth, your peace, and your future. Spend time doing things that bring you joy and fulfillment. Surround yourself with positive energy and people who uplift you. Cutting him off isn't just about removing him from your life, it's about making space for something better. It's about choosing yourself over someone who didn't value you the way you deserve. The more you pour into yourself, the less tempted you will be to look back. The key to truly cutting someone off is not just physical separation, but emotional detachment. If you still allow his actions or his absence to affect your mood, he still holds power over you. Emotional freedom comes when you no longer care about what he's doing, who he's with, or how he feels about you. That freedom is only achieved when you prioritize your own well-being and refuse to let him take up any more space in your heart or mind. Walking away from a man who no longer serves your peace or growth is one thing, but staying gone is another challenge altogether. Many people make the mistake of cutting him off physically but keeping him alive emotionally. They stop talking to him but replay old conversations in their heads, analyze every detail of the relationship, and hold on to what ifs. This emotional attachment keeps the door open even when the connection appears to be severed. The real breakthrough happens when you stop romanticizing the past and accept reality for what it is. He wasn't the right one for you, and holding on to memories won't change that. One of the hardest parts of cutting someone off is resisting the temptation to check in on them. Social media makes this even more difficult. It's easy to scroll through their profile, trying to figure out how they're doing or if they've moved on. But every time you check, you're feeding an emotional connection that should have already been broken. It's self-sabotage in disguise. The urge to look will be strong at first, but the more you discipline yourself to resist, the stronger you become. You don't need to know what he's doing because it no longer concerns you. The best thing you can do is focus on your own growth and let the past stay where it belongs. Emotional detachment is not about hatred or resentment, it's about reclaiming your peace. Some people struggle to let go because they feel they need closure, but closure is not always necessary. In many cases, seeking closure is just an excuse to re-engage with the person who hurt you. The truth is, you already know everything you need to know. He showed you who he was through his actions, and that's all the closure you need. Seeking more is just delaying your healing. The moment you stop seeking explanations and start prioritizing your own well-being, you take back your power. A crucial part of cutting a man off is replacing old patterns with new habits. If he was someone you used to text daily, that empty space can feel unfamiliar at first. Instead of sitting in that discomfort, fill it with positive activities. Focus on your goals, invest in self-care, spend time with people who uplift you, and embrace new experiences. Shifting your attention away from him and onto yourself creates the transformation you need. It's not just about removing him, it's about elevating yourself to a new level where he no longer fits. Self-respect is the foundation of moving forward. When you keep going back, you're telling yourself that you don't deserve better. But when you stand firm in your decision, you prove to yourself that your peace and happiness are worth more than temporary comfort. True growth comes from knowing your worth and refusing to entertain anything that disrupts your well-being. Letting go of someone who once held a significant place in your life is never easy, but maintaining that distance is where the real challenge begins. Many people assume that walking away is enough, but true disconnection requires a mental and emotional shift. It's not just about cutting off communication, it's about severing the invisible ties that keep you emotionally invested. When you let go of someone, you must also let go of the version of yourself that was attached to them. That means releasing old expectations, dreams, and any lingering hopes that things might change. The more you hold on to those things, the harder it becomes to truly move forward. One of the biggest mistakes people make after cutting a man off is allowing him to sneak back in through indirect means. He may not be calling or texting, but are you still checking his social media? Are you asking mutual friends about him? Are you replaying old conversations in your mind? If so, then you haven't really let him go. Keeping tabs on someone you're supposed to be done with is a form of self-sabotage. It tricks you into thinking you've moved on when in reality, you're still tethered to him emotionally. The only way to break free is to cut all ties, not just the visible ones, but the invisible ones as well. Healing requires discipline. There will be moments when you miss him, moments when you second guess your decision, moments when loneliness creeps in and tempts you to reach out. But in those moments, you must remind yourself why you left in the first place. Was he inconsistent? Did he drain you emotionally? Did he fail to meet your needs? Whatever the reason was, hold on to it, write it down if you have to. Because when emotions try to pull you back, logic is what will keep you grounded. Staying away is not about punishing him, it's about protecting yourself. Self-care is a critical part of the healing process. When you remove a man from your life, you create space that needs to be filled with positive energy. If you don't fill it with things that nourish you, you'll be tempted to go back to what's familiar. Find new hobbies, reconnect with friends, focus on your passions, and pour into yourself the love and attention you once gave to him. The more you invest in yourself, the less you'll feel the need to seek fulfillment elsewhere. Walking away is not just about leaving someone behind, it's about stepping into a better version of yourself. Every time you choose peace over chaos, self-worth over temporary comfort, and self-respect over toxic cycles, you reinforce the belief that you deserve better. The more you affirm your worth, the easier it becomes to let go of anything that doesn't align with it. Moving on isn't about forgetting the past, it's about learning from it and using that wisdom to create a future that serves you better. Breaking free from someone who no longer serves your growth requires more than just saying you're done. True separation happens when you no longer give them access to you in any form. That means no texting, no calls, no checking their social media, and no allowing mutual friends to update you on their life. One of the biggest traps people fall into after cutting a man off is lingering in a space of just checking in or seeing how he's doing. Every time you check, you reopen the emotional wounds you're trying to heal. The more you feed that curiosity, the harder it becomes to move forward. It's normal to feel a sense of withdrawal after distancing yourself from someone you once shared a deep connection with. Your mind will play tricks on you, making you romanticize the good times while conveniently forgetting the pain that led you to walk away. This is why it's important to be intentional about your healing process. Fill your time with things that bring you peace, joy, and fulfillment. The more you engage in activities that make you feel whole, the less you'll be tempted to look back. When you actively invest in your own happiness, you regain control over your emotions rather than letting them be dictated by someone who is no longer part of your life. Emotional detachment is not an overnight process. Some days you'll feel strong and unbothered, and other days you might struggle with the urge to reach out. It's in those moments of weakness that you must remind yourself why you left. Did he disrespect you? Did he fail to show up for you the way you deserve? Did he drain your energy rather than uplift you? Whatever the reasons were, write them down and refer to them when doubt creeps in. Your emotions may waver, but your truth does not change. Blocking and deleting his number is not petty, it's necessary. Some people believe they need closure before they can truly move on, but closure is not something another person gives you. It's something you create for yourself when you decide to accept reality and let go. A man who truly cared about you would not have put you in a position where you had to walk away in the first place. If you keep the door cracked open, even just a little, he will find a way back in. The moment you decide that your peace is more valuable than his presence, you take your power back. Cutting a man off successfully is about emotional discipline. It's about choosing yourself even when it's hard. It's about resisting the temptation to revisit a chapter that you already know the ending to. It's about no longer allowing yourself to be an option to someone who never truly prioritized you. When you enforce your boundaries without apology, you set the standard for how you expect to be treated moving forward. Healing from a breakup or cutting a man off isn't just about removing him physically, it's about severing the emotional and mental ties that keep you connected. One of the most effective ways to do this is by creating new habits and routines that no longer involve him. When you spend time with someone, your life naturally becomes intertwined with theirs. You get used to texting them in the morning, calling them when something exciting happens, or even planning your days around their schedule. But when you remove them from your life, you have to be intentional about filling that space with new positive things that serve you. Start by identifying the triggers that make you think of him. Maybe it's a certain song, a specific restaurant, or even a daily routine that reminds you of what once was. Instead of allowing these reminders to pull you back into old emotions, shift your focus. If you used to text him every morning, replace that habit with journaling, prayer, or an uplifting podcast. If certain places remind you of him, explore new spots that help you create fresh memories. The goal is not to erase the past, but to build a present that is no longer tied to someone who no longer serves your future. Social media plays a huge role in emotional attachment, and if you're serious about cutting him off, you need to be mindful of your online habits. Scrolling through his profile, checking who he's following, or waiting to see if he's watching your stories will only keep you stuck in a cycle of emotional dependence. Unfollow, mute, or even block him if necessary. It's not about being bitter, it's about protecting your peace. Every time you check on him, you give him access to your energy, even if he doesn't know it. That energy should be going toward your healing and growth, not feeding a connection that you are trying to break. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to move on is seeking validation from others. It's tempting to post certain things just to get his attention or to make him think you're thriving without him. But true healing isn't about proving anything to him, it's about proving to yourself that you are more than enough without him. When your focus shifts from seeking external validation to internal fulfillment, you regain control over your emotions and decisions. Cutting a man off successfully is an act of self-love. It's about recognizing that your peace, happiness, and well-being come first. It's about refusing to be held back by someone who couldn't appreciate your worth. When you shift your energy towards self-growth and surround yourself with positivity, you create a life that no longer has room for someone who wasn't meant to stay. One of the most important steps in successfully cutting a man off is refusing to engage in closure conversations that only keep the emotional connection alive. Many times, people seek closure as a way to justify opening doors that should remain shut. They convince themselves that one last conversation will bring them peace, but in reality, it often does the opposite. When you keep allowing communication, you're giving him the opportunity to pull you back in, to manipulate the situation, or to feed you just enough hope to keep you emotionally tied to him. If a man has shown you through his actions that he isn't right for you, his words won't change that. Closure isn't something he can give you, it's something you have to give yourself. When you decide that a situation is no longer serving you, you don't need his validation to move on. You don't need him to explain himself or apologize in the way you think he should. The answers you're looking for won't come from him, they come from recognizing that you deserve better. When you make peace with the fact that the relationship is over, you free yourself from waiting for words that won't change what has already happened. Another thing to keep in mind is that emotions will try to trick you into reaching out. There will be moments when you miss him, when the memories make you second guess your decision, or when you feel weak and want to hear his voice one more time. But the key to successfully cutting him off is learning to sit with those emotions without acting on them. Feel what you need to feel, but don't let those emotions lead you back to a situation that hurts you. The more you resist the urge to reach out, the stronger you become. Blocking or deleting his number isn't petty, it's protection. It removes the temptation to send that late night text or respond when he suddenly reaches out. You don't owe him access to you, and you don't have to make it easy for him to find a way back into your life. If he wanted to treat you right, he would have done so when he had the chance. If he truly cared, he wouldn't have put you in a position where you had to walk away. The best thing you can do for yourself is to move forward without looking back. Cutting a man off isn't about hurting him, it's about healing yourself. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to cut a man off is allowing mutual friends, social media, or curiosity to keep them connected to his life. Even if you're not speaking to him directly, constantly checking his posts, asking about him, or staying in the loop through other people only keeps the attachment alive. You may think you're just being casual, but every time you check for updates on him, you're reattaching yourself emotionally. You're feeding your thoughts with his presence, even when he's no longer in your life. Social media is one of the biggest obstacles to truly moving on. Seeing what he's doing, who he's with, or how he's living without you can trigger emotions that pull you back into the situation mentally and emotionally. You may find yourself overanalyzing his posts, wondering if he's already moved on, or questioning if he's happier without you. This kind of thinking doesn't serve you, it only keeps you stuck. Unfollowing, unfriending, or even blocking isn't about being dramatic, it's about protecting your peace. If you don't see it, you won't be tempted to react to it. The less you know about his life, the easier it will be to focus on your own. Mutual friends can also be a problem when trying to cut him off. Some people will keep bringing up his name, telling you things you don't need to know, or even playing messenger between the two of you. They may not mean harm, but if they're constantly bringing him back into your space, they're preventing you from truly letting go. You have to set boundaries and make it clear that you don't want updates on him. If necessary, take space from mutual friends who can't respect that. Your healing is more important than their curiosity or opinions. The hardest part of this process is resisting the temptation to see if he still cares. You may find yourself wondering if he misses you, if he regrets what happened, or if he's moved on. But seeking answers in his actions or in the words of others only keeps you emotionally invested. The truth is, it doesn't matter what he's doing. What matters is how you're healing and moving forward. The more you focus on your growth, your happiness, and your future, the less you care about what's going on in his world. Detachment isn't just about physical distance, it's about freeing your mind and emotions from the grip of the past. One of the most powerful things you can do when cutting a man off is standing firm in your decision and refusing to be drawn back into old patterns. A lot of times, after you decide to walk away, he may try to test your resolve. He might reach out with a casual text, call out of nowhere, or find ways to get your attention. He may even act as if he's changed or suddenly realized your value. But if you're serious about moving on, you have to recognize these attempts for what they are: disruptions to your healing. Men can sense when you're pulling away, and some will come back just to see if they still have access to you. It doesn't always mean they genuinely care or want to build something better. Sometimes it's simply their ego wanting reassurance that they still have a hold on you. If you engage, even just to respond out of curiosity or politeness, you risk reopening wounds that need to heal. Responding sends a message that you're still available, still open to conversation, and still emotionally connected in some way. Silence is one of the strongest statements you can make. It shows that you respect yourself enough to not entertain anything that no longer serves you. It forces him to sit with the reality that he no longer has access to you. If he truly cared, he would have shown it when it mattered. If he truly wanted to be different, he would have made those changes before you walked away. Your decision to cut him off should not be something you second guess. You owe it to yourself to move forward without looking back. Sometimes cutting a man off isn't just about blocking or ignoring, it's about mentally and emotionally detaching. It's about reminding yourself why you walked away in the first place and not letting loneliness, nostalgia, or momentary weakness pull you back. You have to remember the reasons why you needed to leave. The more you invest in your healing, your growth, and your happiness, the less power he will have over your emotions. Prioritize your well-being by surrounding yourself with supportive people, engaging in activities that bring you joy, and setting new personal goals. Thank you.